Congrats, Chad, on your new role with NAILBA.
Thank you, Nelson. Welcome to NAILBA 44.
Yeah. So happy to be back. Well, tell us a little bit about your vision for the next few years in terms of what distribution is going to do, where technology is going to take us.
Well, technology has consistently been a pain point in the insurance business. One of the real challenges, especially those of us that work in the wealth management space, is getting our data into the portals that many of our wealth advisors are using. It's really a pain point for the end consumer and the advisors that are distributing the product.
And what exactly is making it difficult? Is it that the data is fetched in a manual way? Is it complex? Or do you have to pay for them? Or some combination, or all of the above?
Great question. Obviously, build out of transferring data is a real challenge and a pain point for carriers. And we're trying to do it with things that are already built today. And that's where I'm very interested in having a conversation, you giving more information on what your company has the ability to do for the carriers. You want to talk a little bit about Infras and what you guys are looking to do?
Yeah, absolutely. InfrasAI helps carriers build workflows in a simple and reusable way. When things are simple, it's easier for distribution to get data and workflows to work in whatever system or experience that they want. And naturally, as you understand, every institutional distributor has a different need for experience and brand. No brand is alike, right? Every brand is unique. And when things are reusable, that's a lot more cost efficient for the carrier. And when things are simple, it's a lot easier for distribution to understand how to get something that they need. If everything from a carrier can be compressed in simple 5 lines of code, you can probably have one IT intern get that done over a weekend. But if carriers throw you their 500 APIs, it's going to cost you a lot more headcount and money to do that.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this from a carrier perspective. Once they've partnered with your firm, how quickly can they bring product to market versus the situations that where they're set up, how they're set up today?
How they're set up today is in a structure where there's a lot of redundancy. And what I mean by that is when they bring a product to market, they're not bringing it to one market, right? They're bringing it onto many platforms in a redundant way. So they need many people to build the same thing many times and then maintain the same thing many, many times whenever one form changes, one state changes, one question. And as the number of different experience and platforms grow, that cost inefficiency gets worse. And every platform may take 12 to 18 months. And you times that by the number of platform, that's a very large and expensive number.
So you're talking they could be in a position where instead of having to deliver things to multiple platforms in different types of data, they now could have one, and then they'd have the ability to then position it out to us in the field as distributors to provide our own client experience.
That's right. We want carriers to have both their product, workflow, experience, and data out there in the market in what we call an experience agnostic way, right? Products cannot be experience specific, especially as the world of technology grows. More people are going to want to own their brand, own their experience. So what we help them do is let folks in the distribution world easily own and manage their experience in 5 lines of code. And that is a lot easier than the hundreds of APIs and millions lines of code that we have to deal with today.
It sounds extremely valuable. Can you talk a little bit about when you're talking about a typical client, they have the ability to see all their wealth, all their investable assets, but they struggle to be able to provide access to seeing their annuities, their life insurance, their long-term care, their disability, all in that same portal. Is that something that you guys could provide for the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very typical problem that we see, Chad, where in a distributor's role, they may do mostly everything in one place. They see wealth management, stock, bonds, mutual funds, maybe in a CRM, maybe in a wealth management portal. But when it comes to insurance and annuities, everything sort of almost jets off to this other island and nothing is connected. And everything either has to be very custom or entirely disconnected. And that's not a good experience for the end consumer. The end consumer and the advisor actually mostly wants everything in one place. And if you think about it, why wouldn't they, right? We want everything on one phone. We never want to get a new phone for just one more app.
And that's what we're doing today as an industry.
That's what the industry is mostly having been forced to do today. And we want to end that.
Well, if you are a carrier or if you're a distributing partner, how do they get in touch with your firm to help solve this problem?
Great question. So our business model is very simple. Our name, InfrasAI, infers that we are AI-driven infrastructure, and we position ourselves as carrier infrastructure, in that we believe if carriers adopt this AI-driven technology, all distribution will benefit equally. And carriers no longer have to make very difficult decisions around which distribution channel do I make optimizations or bring product to market first.
Who do I allocate the money to versus the entire ecosystem that's distributing their products is a key component of that, right?
Exactly. So we take a model where carriers implement this infrastructure, and we treat distribution as a beneficiary of this ecosystem as opposed to a paying customer of ours. So we never go to distribution and really have anything to sell them. We think that they are the beneficiaries getting what would benefit the carriers, because it would be more productive to give more business to the carriers anyway. Speaking of that, what's your experience been, in the past, and now that you have your new role with NAILBA, in terms of how carriers and distributors used to, say, request things from one another, and how do you see that changing in the future?
Well, I think this is a great way where we can all partner and collaborate together to provide the end consumer with the data that they're looking for, and also bring down costs for the carriers in delivering that data to all of us to provide our end client experience. I'm extremely excited what that could potentially do to bring us forward as an industry to really match what's going on in the wealth management space.
Yeah, I agree with you. It sounds like cost is going to be a big driving factor. In my experience in the past, when a distributor would ask for something from a carrier, a lot of times it would be very much a pull versus push kind of cost equation, right? Sometimes it would be perceived as a cost burden on the carrier to say yes to something from distribution. But maybe it doesn't have to be zero sum. It doesn't have to be that way. Maybe there could be a world where what distribution wants is also good and cost saving for the carrier.
The win-win for everybody.
That's
what
right.
we have here. Well, Nelson, welcome to NAILBA 44, and I appreciate the time. If you're a distributor of a product or a carrier, reach out to Nelson and his team, because they're looking to solve one of the big issues in our industry.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you. Take care.